What's good, YouTube? This is Mike Kundo on the beat, and this is my very first ever tutorial, so let's get right into it. If you use FPC and it's extremely limiting for you and you hate it and you wish that you could separate drum patterns in the arranger, and you also wish you could put your hi-hats at different pitches and still perform with your MPC inside of FL Studio, then you are in the right place right now. So I'm gonna basically show you how you can route your pads, each 16 of your pads from your MPC Live into its own individual sampler in FL Studio and record it in real time. So here we go. The first thing you're gonna wanna do is open MPC as a plugin inside of FL Studio. And I already have it in MIDI mode, but if you wanna, once you connect it and you wanna stick it in MIDI mode, you just come over to this little arrow and then you come down to MIDI control and then you click that. So there you go, click MIDI control and then you should have an MPC pop up like that. And then the next thing after that is you're gonna wanna open 16 samplers inside of your pattern window. Once you've opened the 16 patterns, basically just look at them as your pads on your MPC. So if the first pad on your MPC is gonna be a kick, then put a kick in the first sampler inside of FL Studio. So I got my kick here, and then next thing down, I always like to have my snare on the second pad, and so on and so forth. So once you've done that, the next step is to go to the first one and right click it. And once you right click it, you want to come over and go down to receive notes. And mine says Akai Network MIDI, and then there's also this MPC Live Public option. I just do the MIDI one. And since it's my first pad, I put the kick on the first pad, then I'm just gonna check channel 1. So do that all the way down to 16. That's channel 1. Now I'm gonna come down here, go to receive notes, MPC MIDI, and then that's gonna be on channel 2. And then I'm just gonna do that for each of the pads here. It looks like I had it for the, hold up. Okay, I guess I had that for the MPC Live Public, so I'm sure it really doesn't matter either way, but we'll just do it like that for the sake of how I already had it set up before I did it. So come down to MPC Live, MPC Live Public, channel 1. Now go channel 2. And as you can see, I just have that for every time. Just go down the line 1 through 16, and that'll basically connect the samplers to the individual pads. So once you've gotten the samplers connected to the individual pads, the next step that you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to open MPC. And you can either do this on your MPC Live on the actual touch screen, or you can do it in the computer. But I'll just do it on the computer since y'all can't see my MPC Live. So I'm gonna go to the very first pad, Pad Bank A. Do Pad Bank A for all of it. For velocity, each one of these that you go through for the velocity, just click it off. The reason I do that is because if you put the velocity off, whenever you hit the pad, it's just gonna play at full velocity. And for the most part, that's how I play my drums. I just play them as loud as they can be, and then you can go back in it later and edit the velocity. So do it do it however you want to do it, but if you want them to just play at max volume, put the velocity off on both the pads. And then come over here to MIDI channel, and it's the same thing, 1 through 16. You got to do it into your MPC. So that's pad 1, so I'm going to put it on MIDI channel 1. Come over here, MIDI channel 2. Oh wait, I messed up. So yeah, you got to do the MIDI channels like that. But also another thing I forgot to mention is you got to come to this CC number, and you have to set every single one of these at 60. So every pad you go to, set it at 60. And the reason you want to set it at 60 is because that's what's going to play the note C5 inside of your sampler. So if you open one of your samplers, there's going to be the little piano, and the bass note, the default bass note in FL Studio in the sampler is C5. So you set each pad to C5 so that when you hit the pad, it plays C5 in the sampler, because otherwise it's going to have its own setting, and then when you go to hit the pad, it's going to play the pad at, it's going to end up hitting the pad at like say C1, and then your sample's going to play at a super low tone. It's going to be like octaves down, so it's not going to play the same way it does in your browser. So as you go through, change it to whatever the channel the pad belongs to, and then also go to that CC number and hit it to 60. So that's on 60, channel 1. Channel 2, then I'm going to take this, go up to 60. This channel 3, take that down. And like I said, to me, honestly, it's easier to click it on the MPC screen and then use the actual knob to twist it to 60. But for the sake of it, I'm doing it on the computer so that you can see everything, because I don't have a secondary camera. Okay, so there you have it. Let's see. MIDI channel 1, 60 off, 2, 60 off, 3, 60 off, 4, 60 off, 5, 60 off, 6, 60 off, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so that should all be set. So you got your FL Studio side of it set. You got all the patterns set in on the so you're receiving all your notes in FL Studio, and then you're receiving it on the MPC side. You have all your numbers correct. Then whenever you go to play this, you're going to want to go to your first drum. And like I said in the beginning of the video, my first drum is always the kick. With me, it's always the kick, the snare, and then the hi-hat, the closed hi-hat. And then the fourth one should be an open hi-hat. So right now I'm on my MPC, and if you look at my screen, then and you look at my individual samples that I have loaded, then you should see that when I play it, it's playing each of those individual samples. So then look at this. Now I go to record. There you go, and then the recording stops, and all those patterns recorded by themselves. So now that we're towards the end of this video, you could see what I mean when I said that this is way less limiting than FPC. You're stuck with one individual pattern and all your drums just stuck in there. So let's just, for example, go over here. I recorded that pattern. It's unquantized. Yeah, it doesn't sound the best, but this is just for the video's sake. No. I got the 4 drums playing in that one individual pattern. I can come down here, it's split by channel, and then I have all 4 of my patterns by themselves. There we go. So now, instead of having to go through and record it individually in FPC as a completely different pattern, if I just want to eliminate a pattern, I can. Look at this. Got my hat, got my open hat, my snare, and my kick playing. But hey, if I want to take my closed hat out, that was all in one take. And you can go through and edit that, as you please. So there you go. Oh, actually, before we leave, let me also show you this. This is another thing that you can't do in FPC that I absolutely could not stand. I'm so happy I found this, because I searched high and low to figure out a different way to use my MPC and FL Studio without having to use FPC. Because like I said, it's like completely limiting. So say I want to like pitch my hi-hats. Let's look at this. Okay, so I got my hi-hat. Let's just do that for all of these. Quantize these real quick. See, I just pitched my hi-hat down, you know? Come over here to because I recorded all those at one time and they all popped up on my screen. But like if you're using FPC and you record all that, you know, if I pitch this down, it's just gonna turn into a different instrument. So anyways, my first tutorial. If this even helped just one person, I'll be so happy. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe and hit the notification. And I should be back with some other tutorials. I'm here to bring you value. So, and also let me know what you think down in the comments. So thanks a lot for stopping by, giving me your time and watching the video, and I'll see you next time.